Welcome to Beats and Boots, the podcast where stories from music and subcultures around the world come together. Here, we want to explore the journey of skinheads and skin girls, rude boys and rude girls, punks, and everyone part of our subcultures. On each episode, we will dive deep into personal stories, how our guests discovered these scenes, faced challenges, found joy, unity, and identity through music. Join us on Beats and Boots, music and subculture stories. Welcome to Beats and Boots, music and subculture stories. Today's guest is a musician hailing from France. He is part of many powerful bands such as Rixe, Bromure, and Lion Law. Let's welcome Victor to Beats and Boots.
Enchaîné à jamais, qui manque la poussière. Tout ce que t'as pas eu, tout ce que t'as pas dit, coché en travers de la gauche, coché en travers de ta vie. Tes nuits sont blanches, ta vie est grise et tu cafards de ronces esprits de part en part.
Yo, I'm good, fresh for the start of the new year of 2025. I'm not fresh at all, but that you will maybe see later because, as I said, we had a pretty big party at the beginning of New Year's. So I'm dead, but I'm here. You know.
Thank you so very much for accepting my invitation and being here today during the holidays. I'm really excited to hear your story. Let's begin with the introduction of when you started in the subcultures. What drew you in? Where and when?
Well, as you said, I'm from France. I grew up in the suburbs of Paris in the 94th district. And I think when I was 12, my older brother gave me tapes. So I had a little tape player that I was listening. I was listening to cassettes under my blanket, so my mom couldn't see when I was a kid at night. And he gave me a tape from The Exploited. That was
the first one.
The thing that changed my life. But he gave me a few tapes, but like AC/DC and shit like this. But the one that changed my whole life is The Exploited.
And when is that? Like when?
When is that? I was 12, so it was 2000.
2000.
Yeah, 2000. And after that, so I shortly became a punk, had a Mohican like this. And when I was 14 years old, I begged my brother to take his car and take me to see The Exploited live. And I already had in school, I had a skinhead friend, and my brother took me and my skinhead friend to see The Exploited. But while waiting for The Exploited, The Business played before. It was a big fest.
Oh, wow.
It was a big fest in France called Fury Fest. Now changed his name to Hellfest. Oh. And so I think that's the second musical moment that changed my life, because I was not expecting this. I was not expecting this, and then I saw, the crowd, like all the skinheads and shit. I was like, wow, The Exploited is great. It's still great, and it was an amazing memory for me seeing them live. But when I saw The Business, I had another epiphany. If you know what I mean.
That was the moment that you realized this is the place that I belong. Or it happened later.
No, I was already 100% in, but I was still a kid,
Yeah, no, for sure.
But then after that, I started listening to, let's say, like all the rougher stuff and Oi and getting like way more interested in oi than punk. On the day of my 15th birthday, I shaved my head, and that's it.
And
And
then
now
you
I can't grow it anymore. So
oh, you shaved it when you were 15?
yeah.
Me too. Me too. I cut my hair when I was 15. I started like really young, like you, like 12, 13, and at 15,
That's it.
yeah. So, I wanted to ask you, I'm curious about how in France in the 2000s you got music. You know, I'm from Puerto Rico, and at the time it was really hard to get music. We receive a lot from Spain, and a lot of cassettes, and we shared them. We needed to order them by mail. So how it worked
Yeah.
in France during the
Well,
2000s?
but I think France is way different than Puerto Rico for that, because I don't know, we are really close to England. When I was a kid, it was like 10 francs, so let's say $2 to go to England. So
Oh,
from my the town where my family comes from in Normandy, it's very cheap, and we always had like record shops in Paris and in other cities in France, and it's not that hard to go by to find
to have
records and to
access to
find
it.
to have access to music. But of course, I mean, I grew up with internet, so I even if my brother gave me cassettes and then I had CDs and then I started collecting vinyls, but I think my generation listened to a lot of music on internet, like downloading, not YouTube because it came afterwards, but like yeah, downloading and doing like CD compilations, and that's it, you know. But France is let's say in '77 there was already punks in France.
No, for
It
sure.
was
Yeah.
yeah, the connection is
Yeah, you.
very close.
How did you get started and involved in bands? Like when that happened?
Let's say my first band, I started playing guitar in a band in 2007, maybe, because I lived in Lille, north of France, the very northern city in France that is like close by the border to Belgium. I was so bad at school that my parents sent me there. And yeah, it got even worse because I started hanging with the skinhead crew there, and then we started doing a band, which is we never recorded anything. So we played a few live shows, so there's a few live recordings, but I don't think
And what was the name of that band?
it was called Tied Down, like the Negative Approach song. But I don't think it's even worth mentioning, and I don't think anybody can find anything. I mean, I do have some recordings, but it's pretty shitty. But that's how it
Well, it's
started, and then
important.
yeah,
It was the
yeah,
first experience.
yeah. But it was mainly a cover band.
Mm.
We had like 3 original songs, but the rest was covers.
Let's talk a little bit about how you shape little by little your identity. As you said, when we start in the shows, we just, you know, we're mesmerized about what we see. But how you know, being part of these subcultures influenced your identity, like constructing your own self?
For me, it's what shapes me totally, because I think I live fully by that, and with people from the scene, and I just it's a funny question, but yeah, I grew up listening to that music all my life, so like
I know.
I don't know. I don't ever think I could fit in the normal society anymore, you know?
And it's interesting because we are so many people around the world, but we are so spread out, and we all feel the same way.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. When I travel, it's just with the scene, with people from the scene. Like wherever you go, you can meet people and that feel the same than you. So it's
And
great.
you connect. It's true.
Yeah.
It is true. So have you ever faced a moment of self-reflection when you realize like how deeply the subculture shaped who you are? Like, do you reflect and think about that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, let's say like having a band that takes like 100% of my time, and it's also a lot of sacrifices. I'm never gonna complain because I'm so lucky and I'm so happy where I am right now, But yeah, I know that because of that, I missed on some other parts of my life, like I sacrificed the whole rest of my life. So I don't really see my family as much as I want to, but that's fine because they understand also that they understand me now. The only
But I
self-reflection, but
understand, yeah.
you know what's my conclusion? It's always the same. I did the good choice. so
Yeah, you
so
don't
for
regret
me,
it.
yeah, for me it's not. There's no bad feelings about this. I'm good. Thank you.
No, good answer. Right now, let's talk a little bit about music. Which bands and genders have had the greatest influence on you? Like, I know you started, watching the business, like the
Yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
oi band that was like amazing. But as you move through time, any bands that you can like think from the top of your head, these bands truly shaped and
Yeah,
influenced you.
cause those are like the major bands, you know. And I saw the business, and of course, it's still one of my favorite bands. But then when I got really interested into oi music, now it's like literally like French oi music is what shaped me and us and all the guys from the crew and all the bands that are related with us. So I would say L'Infanterie Sauvage, but this is gonna be hard for you as an American speaker. Like L'Infanterie Sauvage, Camera Silence, like
Okay,
80s
excellent.
80s oi bands from France, because it's like you listen to English oi, except a few bands, it's way more. The lyrics are a little bit stupid, Boots and braces are like okay, we got it. But if if you listen to French bands, I think it's also because it's written in French and French language is a bit harder to use to write songs and shit. So it's deeper. Like when you listen to French songs, the lyrics are deeper. Except some bands, of course, we are very stupid.
No,
But
I know what you
yeah,
mean. In Spanish happened too. Like,
Mm,
I understand what you mean about the repetition of the same topics and
yeah,
but in Spanish, I don't know, maybe, the cultures and what they have passed through, but I can also see that in some of the bands in Spanish too, that they go more deep and more like reflective on the lyrics.
yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's that after discovering the French bands, that's my shit.
that's your moment.
Eight, 80s French punk, what we call KO en France, is KO en France. Let me compilation I'm talking about right here. Now I have this Camera
I know,
Silence.
yeah, Camera Silence for sure, yeah.
Yeah. It's there was a 180s vinyl compilation called Chaos en France, Chaos in France.
Let's move on to, the culture in the scene in France, the importance of finding others. How important is for people in this culture to find and support each other? How's the community in France? How that works?
Well, for me, I would say that if we're talking about skinheads, it's it's all about being part of a group. It's not being on your own and being a fatalist. But so we are always like in the spirit of meeting every night at the bar. That's this is compared to other countries. I think we have that culture of like okay, let's say tonight I want to go out. I go at the pub at 8 and I'm gonna meet 10 friends of mine. But that's also not a cultural thing in other countries to go to the bar. So people meet at shows, and we do too. And we build our own shit together. So it's it's building a community together, building a scene by our own means. And yeah, I I also feel that in France, like when I was a kid, because now it's maybe a bit different, but most of the people hate us because they have such a bad image of us. 80s French skinheads and late 80s Nazi skinheads, they made a they made a big name on the news, on the papers.
Yeah.
So people would literally think you're a racist when they see you. So
So
we
even when you started in the early
yeah
2000s, you still like people still thought
yeah yeah
that way of what happened with the skinheads in the 80s. You
yeah yeah yeah
20
yeah, yeah
years
we
after they still feel it.
exactly yeah we got
Wow.
in fights every weekend. Every time you take the subway and you meet other young guys, they're gonna start a fight with you. So
Wow.
now
Yeah.
it's now I'm gonna be honest. I don't think people change their minds about us. I think they don't even know what a skinhead is now. Because they don't look at us the same that they used to do before. They
For sure.
even if you get the craziest of looks, people don't look at you, but they don't look at each other anymore. They just live their life on their phones, on their screens like this,
It
and they
is
don't.
true.
I don't think people got more clever. I think they just don't care.
Yeah, it is true. How do you compare that experience in France? You have traveled around Europe with your bands, and you have come here to the US, and you're heading to Mexico soon, right?
Mhm.
Um, so how do you compare the scenes through the places that you had been?
Well, yeah, there's the France has more like of a Latin identity, like Spain or South America. It's very like brotherhood, very uh, very festive. And yeah, I see the more you go in the north of Europe, and people are more like I don't know, but there's there's still funny places everywhere. I would say that people don't really know, but French is a Latin language, and French people have a Latin attitude, if I can if I can say. So it's fun. People have
Yeah.
fun. People drink.
Between all the places that you have been in terms of the scenes that people in general, you can connect with the people and they're friendly, or there will be places where you've seen big differences in terms of that community, in terms of that like
Well, yeah, yeah,
relationships.
yeah, yeah. There's places, even if you connect through music, people have different ways of
Approaches.
yeah ways of being, because just that's the way they've been raised, like by
Yeah,
their
like culture
parents
wise, right?
or by their society. We toured 3 times in Japan, and like
Ah,
except
wow.
except that
Japan.
they listen to Oi. Like Japanese skinheads are super different than us.
I imagine.
They act differently, and it's the same with like, let's say, Finland or places like this. People are different, but that's the way they are. That's the way they interact with each other. And
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
you can, if you are used to Latin people, you can be like, wow, that dude is not nice, but no,
No,
he's
no.
nice. And like
It is just part of
uh,
the culture. Yeah, but it's
we've been
hard for
to
cultures like ours that we are so like open and friendly and talkative.
yeah
When we need to be like very conscious about that in order not to feel, like they're being rude or
yeah
something.
you know what, be yourself and fuck it, you know.
True.
People will adjust to you. But
That's true.
we've been to Russia 2 times,
Oh,
and
wow.
you know, like Russian people, the more they feel comfortable with you, the less they use please or oh thank you. They don't say. So you say they don't say that. So you're like
Really interesting.
when there's a Russian guy, he goes to me and says, "Give Coke." I'm like, what? What the fuck? Like, give Coke. And he was just asking for the bottle of Coca-Cola next to me. But I'm like,
And, and he just
yo,
asked it like that, like,
yeah,
give me the.
yeah, just like don't say please, don't say thank you, go fuck yourself. But no, it's just because he was feeling friendly with me, so it's just like I don't need to use those words. I don't need to use more words than necessary because you're my friend, you know. And I'm like, okay, you have to
And I
understand.
think that's amazing of traveling too, right? Like learning from other cultures and understanding and yeah, that's
Yeah, we are
part of
very
it too.
very lucky as a band to be able to travel that much, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, even before our band got invited in foreign countries, I was already traveling through contacts from the scene, mostly everywhere in Europe, and people are nice, you know. People wanna discover, and I wanna discover people. So whenever people come to Paris, if I can, I host them too. So you know, it's
I wanted to talk about that, the joy in the scene. What brings you most joy about, being a musician and playing? Like what brings you joy?
that must be just what we talked about, huh? That must be just like traveling and meeting my friends, my old friends, making new friends, and
The
discover,
connections with the
yeah,
people.
discovering new bands, being able to spread our music everywhere and like bring a meaning to people's life and struggle of being I don't know, some it's yeah, I'm happy when I see young skinheads that feel that they are alone in their part of the world or in their town, and they see us and they're like, "Fuck," you know? Yeah,
I know, I feel the same way. Every time that you see like those very young kids getting into the scene is like I really feel very happy. I feel really like joyful. Like it's awesome
yeah,
to see, especially women. Like it's hard to see them around, and yeah, definitely. That's as we grow older, it's great to see the
yeah.
juice.
And you know,
It, it, it,
some stuff that I never thought about when we started doing music, because it's just like we never had any plans of this, you know. And when like when like kids come at me and say that they started a band because they wanted to be like us, they wanted to do the music we do, and they gave me their demo, I'm like, wow, you know, it's crazy because they,
no, no. In
yeah,
your
yeah,
experiences, even like it's huge because they will come to you and see you as a model and something that they wanted to, which
but I'm
is a
not a
good
model.
example of how the subculture
I
can
hope that
impact
I
in
hope
a
that
good way.
I hope they don't take me as a model, but I hope they keep believing in this and keep doing good music. But yeah,
What changes or improvement would you like to see in the scene, in the shows, in the subculture moving forward? What do you think can get better?
we feel like we need more good bands. And yeah, I'm gonna join you on saying that we need more girls. But like, if I look in Paris, it's already happening in my crew and in my surroundings and in our scene. There's already girls bands, and I think there's a lot of girls at shows, and I hope they feel comfortable, and yeah, they just don't. Uh, I would hope that one day it's not like a deal that you have to care about this. This should be normal. Everybody should feel respected and all right in shows and in the scene. But yeah, I think it's getting better. Let's keep things going like that way. And yeah, we definitely need more good bands, and even like people should always try and not be scared of what people think about their band. Like, oh my god, this is shit. We're not gonna play. Like, do it, do it.
And talking about women in the scene, like how do you think it can we can create a more welcoming, inclusive community in order to make women feel more safe or interested on being part
Yeah,
of the scene?
I think all music on its beginning is very manly, like in the lyrics, and it's not very welcoming for women. But now it's totally different. So yeah, I feel that girls feel better about this now that they could feel in the 80s. In the 80s, they would be someone's girlfriend, and
Yeah.
now they don't need to be anybody's girlfriend to be part of the scene, and they don't need to be labelized as woman. It's just like, you want to do a band, or you want to be there, you be there.
Now, before we end, can you tell us about your upcoming performances, where you're heading to in 2025?
Yeah, so with Lions Law, we are releasing a new album on February 2025, and just to celebrate the release of the album, we're gonna do 25 shows in Europe in February. So it's the whole month of February. Yeah, with our friends from Mexico, Mess, and
Oh, wow,
Claim
that's
Choice, Claim Choice from France.
awesome.
Yeah, and after that, we're going to California because we are playing LA Punk Invasion on the 15th of March, and we're gonna play a few more shows around that in California. Then the plan is to go to Mexico. We are playing 8 shows there, and then we are going to Costa Rica
Oh,
and
wow.
to Colombia.
That's
But that's
amazing.
what I'm working on, because I have friends there, and they're gonna help us set that up. But
Yes.
yeah, it will be confirmed soon, so you will have the infos soon. And yeah, as I said, we're gonna release the album, so I'm sure there's a lot more coming in terms of shows. But I'm also playing a few shows with my other band, Bromure, the French oi band with a saxophone. And yeah, we're doing the first show of the year on the 18th of January. We're playing like a big venue in Paris with like the biggest ska band from France. It's gonna be fun. So yeah,
Sounds really, really fun.
busy year.
That's good.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, truly, for accepting my
Thank you.
invitation and for this amazing conversation.
My pleasure.
And thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for listening. Remember to check out our Spotify playlist with Wattie's music recommendations. This was Naya Maji. Until our next episode of Beats and Boots, Music and Subculture Stories.
No money, no phone, you know what to talk.